usually like to give a synopsis of what's in the board doc, but I think I need to go over it carefully with you. So. At the previous board meeting, questions were raised about the possibility of creeping costs associated with the Gen 7 project at Delray and Glorietta. The board requested an estimate of the overall cost for both schools for the Gen 7 project. The estimated overall budget is attached. In fact, it's been revised because it's creeping. A little bit. It does not include the playground project costs at Delray, which were separately approved by the board as a Fund 40 summer project in the amount of $475,296. The Gen 7 buildings replace 1960-era portables much beyond their useful life. Modular buildings are not portables. They're also known as relocatables, since portables are supported by wood blocks and can be moved. The modular option saves the district considerable funds for a permanent building with a solid concrete foundation, which should last 75 years. So it's much like a building built from the ground up. The contract with American Modular Systems includes the site work to excavate and construct the foundation. All of the internal electrical, plumbing, mechanical systems, as well as the interior and exterior finishes, come with the building, having been installed in the factory. There are no subcontractors for the building itself and no general contractor. The site work outside the building proper is additional to the building cost. In California, site-constructed permanent buildings, school buildings, currently cost $466.29 per square foot. If traditionally built and using this average square foot cost, Delray's 4 buildings would have cost, just the buildings, $2,088,979. Glorietta's 3 buildings would have cost $1.8 million. The total cost for the buildings only would have been $3.924 million. The Gen 7 buildings cost $1.4 million for Delray and $1.159 million for Glorietta. Total cost for both is just about $2.6 million for the buildings only. The cost difference for modular buildings that will perform equally well is a savings of about $1.3 million because we decided to go for modular buildings. The other soft costs and hard costs will be the same for either construction, that is to say that outside of the building. The usual percentage for hard costs and soft costs respectively is 70% and 30%. The estimated overall cost of this project is about $4 million. The hard costs are closely estimated to be $3.6 million, or 90% of the, and the soft cost estimated to be about $0.4 million, or about 10%. So we actually have saved in the usual spread between hard and soft costs. We've actually saved a lot of money. And so the question is why and how did that happen? Well, the answer is that the district is acting as the general contractor. We have not hired some other person out there to manage all of this construction. I'm doing it in the short. That's why it's, and we don't have a construction manager. We used to have one that cost the district quite a bit of money. We don't need that. We have all of it in-house. The usual costs of the general contractors, overhead and profit, have been eliminated, representing a 10 to 20% savings of the overall construction hard costs. I attached something called a cost project cost breakdown, which just simply shows there's a 70%, 30% relationship in the usual order of things. So it's not really a very important slide to look at, except that it verifies that there's a 70-30 split. In addition, the factory-built units result in significant savings of time and money. And as some of those videos showed, testimonies from other school districts where they said, there's no way that we could have had a building put here in the time that it would take if we built it from the ground up. Because it's built in a factory, they crane it in and put it on the foundation, and we'll have it ready for occupancy in August. We have a schedule, so it will happen. And there are a lot of unforeseen circumstances that won't happen because it's all built in a factory. So we actually do save an additional unseen amount of money and time. Most of the costs up to this point have been paid by developer fees, of which there's $574,000 remaining. We're going to spend it all, but we've paid through this project without a very significant impact on Fund 40. We've spent some Fund 40 dollars, but we will spend through the rest of the developer fees, which is what developer fees are for. So this is a good thing. At this point, it looks like when we're all done, we will have dipped into Fund 40 about another $200,000. Then I list the hard costs for our project and the soft costs, and then I'm going to now turn to the attachment, which has been revised and updated since the board agenda was sent out, so we've attached that so you can see the spreadsheet. Maybe you can see it. Yeah, that's better. But it shows that just about everything we believe will be associated with this project is in this list. And I added in the last day or so fencing, which is an estimate of about $10,000. It could be much less than that. We have to tear down the fence at Delray that's at the bottom of the Dolphin Club, and we have to erect a fence over by the new Dolphin Club area where the sandbox is. It needs to be created, and it could be much less than that. I do have an estimate for removing the 2 trees that are dead and sitting in just below the Dolphin Club in the fenced-in area at $1,900. That's real. And we still need to get proposals for the concrete site work, which I estimate to be about $30,000 for Glorietta and $40,000 for Delray. It may be less than that, but we'll see. Again, there's a lot of these costs that can be value engineered to be cheaper, so we may save some additional funds. But in general, the numbers that are shown here, about $4 million for both schools, about $2.3 million for Delray, and $1.6 million for Glorietta are pretty real. So I think this is what it cost to do this. I want to thank Carol and the other board members who asked for this information, because it does help us all see what these things really cost. But I think this is still a bargain, even though it's, it shows us going forward what we can expect if we're going to be continuing to do these projects, and we're not going to be surprised by what the final costs are going to be.
Thank you, Stuart, I really appreciate it, and it certainly does look like overall, these are a real bargain. So, it helps to look at what we're actually gonna spend, and I really appreciated your talking about what a regular building would cost as opposed to these. That was really helpful. So, thank you for all that.
Any questions?
Any other questions?
No, I just would like to echo Carol's thanks, because I also was interested in this breakdown, so I appreciate you taking the time to do that. Get it to us tonight.
Stuart, how much does this vary from what you, I tried to look back and I thought we were more at like, thought we were at maybe 3.5, is that about what you thought?
At one point, I believe I may have said that. I tried not to say.
Well, I was just trying to look at some of the prior.
Yeah, I think I may have said that at some point. I expected it to be in that area.
I do appreciate this, I just would like to make sure that in the future we get, you know, even if you don't know the dollar amounts of everything, if it's a percentage that you add on, you know, upfront, so that we know when we're approving the project, how much we think, you know, worst case scenario.
Actually, it's not a problem. I've done this before, you know, make those kind of projections. You know, to be honest, we try to make a higher projection so when you come in lower.
It looks good.
Well, that's the worst case scenario, hopefully, and then it comes in better,
Right.
exactly. Thank you.
Well, and it seems like this will help us if we do this kind of a project again, because now you will have a better and clearer understanding of all the different components. I'm just wondering, were there any components that you were surprised by? I was a little surprised by the asbestos abatement. I didn't know if there were any.
Well, we did the test, which is reflected in here. We have to, I think we had this discussion before, we have to test those buildings before we demolish them. Because the demolition contractors won't touch them until you run that test. And we did it, and I'm not really surprised that Del Rey had asbestos. It was the older group of buildings, and there was no asbestos at Orinda, you know, which is an age difference.
Does that concern you about any of the other portables we have in the district? Is there any other testing we need to do for the safety of
Well,
our
we
children?
have every 3 or 4 years what's called the AHERA, and that is a systematic inspection of, you know, all of the schools, all of the properties for asbestos. Understanding that, and we get a report every year, understanding that asbestos is dangerous when it is what's called friable, meaning when you scrub it or you sand it or you do something with it to disturb it. You know, there historically has been a lot of asbestos in floor tiles, but nobody's down there sanding the floor tiles, you know, but that's when the asbestos becomes dangerous, or they're sometimes in ceiling tiles when you are scraping them for some reason, you know, but otherwise they are not dangerous.
They're just there.
They're just there.
Right. So it's only dangerous on disposal when you're removing it.
Correct, when you're
then
scraping
becomes
it and
part of a dump or
taking it,
something.
there you go. That's when it becomes dangerous.
Okay.
So, thank you for doing this when, you know, not only have we had LTA going on, but our consent calendar item is filled with contracts, each of which take a lot of work. But the fact that you put this together to us so quickly after the questions in the next board meeting, thank you for that. I did have one question on it. What stood out to me, and this may be typical, but does it have something to do with our modulars? The second highest cost here is the electrical work at the site. Is usual expected? Is there something more we're dealing with because of the modulars?
I was a little surprised too, but it had to do with, you know, when we develop our plans that go to DSA, we have the architect subcontracts with an electrical engineer and with a mechanical engineer, and they do their work. And they, we had a couple of issues about where we're bringing the electricity from, like at Glorietta. We were gonna bring it from, there's a little room that's got a panel in it that looks like a janitor's closet that's next to the resource rooms. And now we have to bring it from the switchgear, which is in the parking lot. So we gotta go further, according to the electrical engineer, because there's not enough juice in that room for it. And there's some of that needs to go underground, which we didn't think we would have to do.
And that must be the case with Del Rey, because that's.
And Del Rey, we're also having to go underground. We're gonna be taking one of those drills and drilling underground to take the conduit underground. I did save us some money because the engineer called for all new fire alarm devices and wiring in the Dolphin Club. And I said, why? Since it already has it in it. And so we're not going to replace perfectly well working devices and wires in that building with brand new ones. It's not necessary. The wires, there's nothing wrong with those wires. We have to add a few devices, but you know, that's what I mean by value engineering. As we go through this project, we will try to, you know, where we don't need to spend any those dollars, even though they're in the design, we'll do what's called a construction change document, just to say we don't need to spend this money to do this. So we'll do that sort of thing. They just over-engineer a lot of things, that's all. That's part of it. So we got 2 bids for the electrical, the other one was much, much higher, so, you know.
Other questions from the board? Public comment? Charles?
OEA President Charles Shannon. I'm really excited. We're modernizing, having classrooms that are 21st century ready. It's very exciting. Our kids and our teachers are very excited. And we're doing it for a lot less money. And I want to say, Stuart, we appreciate your project management background. It's going to save the district a lot of money. It was really smart bringing you here into Orinda. So we appreciate that. Teachers want to thank you. I'm really excited because we have outdated, definitely the portals are outdated, and we really need, with all of the technology that we have, to have classrooms that are ready for that. So this will be a way to showcase, and I know that's what the board had said, this is an opportunity to show our community what we can do with a bond. You know, we can take this and start spreading it. So these are exciting times. I'm glad to be a part of a district that is undergoing this work. And the teachers are ready, our staff is ready, so I want to thank the board for your commitment to this. So, appreciate it, thanks.
Any other public comment? Back to the board. We have no more
More discussion?
discussion or questions.
Very helpful.
Thank you, Stuart.
Thank you, Stuart. Which leads us to our consent calendar.
I would like to pull item H, the agreement with Q Tower, just for a very brief thank you.
Terrific. Anyone else like to pull an item from the consent calendar? If not, do I hear a motion?
I move that we approve the consent calendar except for item H.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We've adopted the consent calendar other than item H. And now we'll bring up item H.
I just wanted to thank the Student Safety Committee. This contract with an amazing organization is the result of almost 2 years of work. And I think it's going to, we're paying, I less money for educating every student in the district than we did with Speak Up and Be Safe for first, third, and first, sixth. At any rate, all of our students are going to be receiving safety education as a result of this. And I want to thank the committee who worked so hard on it. And I think that we all agree that the solution that we've arrived at with parent education, student education, and some continuing Speak Up and Be Safe education at OIS is the best solution for all of our students. So I just wanted to say thank you and acknowledge your presence for being here. Thank you very much. And with that,
Well, no, we want to talk some more.
Can I ask a question now
Yeah.
that you've told us?
yes.
So for the sixth graders, are they going to be trained in both Kid Power and in Speak Up, Be Safe? Because that was the one that was kind of preserved for sixth grade.
So I might suggest that Erica Leonard, who's in the audience tonight from Kid Power, could speak to the Kid Power piece, and then also share that some plans for OIS for next year that are going to be taking place as a pilot. So I don't know, Erica, you weren't prepared to speak, but since you're here, that might be helpful. So we will have Speak Up, Be Safe at OIS next year, but we will also have some Kid Power, so.
So I'm Erica from Kid Power, for those of you I haven't met, although I'm looking around and like even over here, like all of you have been, and you came when your child was 6, like that was a long time ago.
Yes.
Good to see you again. So thank you. The plan that I believe you all have on your agenda, and my apologies, I wasn't prepped to say anything, so I'm not going to give you a number for what that budget item is. But that is your K through 5 plan. And what I think is most important for OIS is they just sort of came on board with even really kind of understanding what Kid Power has to offer. And I think they really need the space and the time to continue to talk about what makes the most sense. What I can say in 22 years of doing Kid Power is actually there's one time I heard of a program somewhere in the South, as in the American South, not Southern California. There was one time where I did hear of a program where I thought, wow, you know, Kid Power actually won't fit well with that. But all other programs that I've ever heard of, Kid Power serves as scaffolding. What's very important about Kid Power is that we don't teach people what they should do. We teach skills that people could do. What happens is there are outstanding programs out there teaching really important information, but most of them focus on concepts and information. What you often end up with is a 3rd grader who might be on the playground saying, I know this is bullying, I know about empathy, I know about bystanders, and I know all the stuff, but what could I do? And that's the one thing Kid Power is when somebody's in a spot, any spot, now, 20 years from now, next week, nobody's with them except them at that moment. And the more ideas they have at the moment of things they could do so that they can choose for themselves. Ideally, you'd like somebody to have 5 or 6 ideas. No ideas is not good. One idea is okay, but really you want a bunch so that a person can decide for themselves. So, coming back to OIS, I don't know what OIS teachers will decide is best for them. I know that they have programs that they're invested in and that they appreciate and that offer value to them. And I would hope that as they continue to talk and plan, they would look at what offerings in terms of a combination of staff training or possible classroom support would add to what they're doing and enhance it. So I'd be happy to answer any questions folks have about Kid Power.
I was so pleased to have the opportunity to attend to, I think, different training sessions, and it's wonderful to see your guidance and interaction of the parents and the students, and teaching them how to communicate important information in a way that gets someone's attention appropriately. So I did appreciate all of that, and I just want to make sure that we're training all different levels, the classified, the teachers, the parents, as many different groups as possible, because it struck me that if a student is in line and someone's bothering them and they step out of line, we don't want a situation where an aide who hadn't been trained says, come on, get back in line, and they're trying to tell them something that the adult isn't recognizing. And so I just thought it was very important that at our school sites, we make sure that everyone has the same information so that everyone can be aware of what a student, particularly a younger student, might be trying to tell them.
I agree with you, and at the same time, we have skills for that particular problem.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, just this morning in Salinas, we worked on that. What happens if you leave a line, children are taught to stay in line order, and
Right.
young children are literal.
Yes.
And often children will leave, well, we want children to leave line order if there's a safety problem, but sometimes kids get in trouble if they've left line order.
Exactly.
So there's a Kid Power practice around that.
Oh, that's
So,
great.
right, so the good thing about Kid Power skills is they should serve an individual even if they end up in a spot that's terrible.
Mhm.
Even if they end up in a spot that offers much less than they get here at the Orinda schools. Because the basic principle is you cannot control what other people do or say, but you always carry your power, and so the question is, what can I do with that? That said, your system is stronger when people are on the same page, so we'll continue to strive to reach everybody.
Thank you.
Well, I always like to connect things on our agenda, so I'd like to say two things. One, this reminds me of our earlier conversation about parent fundraising and why. Because I want to thank Carol and you and Kathy Marshall, who's not here, because this is a conversation that started 2 years ago and took a lot of thought and thinking and consensus building and seeing the program in action in our schools, which we've all had the opportunity to do. And I just want to thank you for all that time, because I think it's reached a place that is really going to benefit our district. The second way it reminded me of our earlier conversation is because we were talking about how successful and wonderful our alums are. And Eric, it's just to have you back in our district doing this great service to our kids. So
Excellent.
thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for
I
coming.
was probably in those portables in Gloria.
Yeah.
It was stuck to the wall.
You have a longer life than any other questions from the board? Then a motion? Oh, sorry, public comment, yes. You're part of the public comment, I don't, yeah.
Charles Shannon, President, I really need to say something because we had a staff development beginning of the year where Kid Power came in, and we were very active participants, which for me was something exciting, and to just be a passive recipient of information, is just not a joy for us teachers. And I will say that I have implemented a lot of the things because I remembered, because I was so active during the training that you provided, and teachers recognized what I was doing. So we had a common understanding, we had a common language. They said, oh, we did that at Kid Power. You did it so well. And I said, yeah, I remember because I did it. My kids come up constantly trying to hug you, and we were shown what to do, how to turn that into a quick high five. And so I feel like it's really served me well, and I feel like I got a lot of great feedback from other teachers. So I just want to thank the district for taking a look at something a little bit different to add an add-on, like you said. And that practice is great. Thank you.
Catherine Palmer Collins, OEA VP. I just want to point out to the board that we still don't have anything in place for OIS 7th and 8th graders, and I am concerned about that.
Thank you. So to clarify, the contract is just kindergarten through 5th grade?
Contract with Kid Power.
With
Yes.
the power that we're approving right now. Thank you.
The continuing role of the Contra Costa Child Abuse Council for,
Yes, Speak Up, Be Safe at OAS, and then also they provide our child abuse prevention training, which
right.
is phenomenal.
Further discussion from the board? Do we have a motion?
I have
happily move to accept consent item H, agreement with Kid Power.
Which I will second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, we are through our consent calendar. Future agenda items. Anyone have anything to add to our, we're not doing.
We don't have anything on our list.
Nothing getting done. The only thing I'll add, and I'll put it on the list, is the future conversation about alternative programs, like we've got enough going before then, but we'll put that on the list. All right. Given no further agenda items, we are at adjournment. Do I have a motion?
We were talking about closed session.
Oh, well, yeah, I'm sorry. We'll adjourn out of open session into closed
We'll
session,
have to come back to.
and we'll come back to that. But I still need a motion for that.
I'll move that we adjourn to closed session.
I second.
In favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Return to closed session.
Was that the last
Don't miss the Girl Scouts at Orinda after school. So one thing that I remember.
I think we do.